Hello fellow dragons, it's Shane's from Astral Dragon Gaming, and today we're going to be looking at Artful, the Artful Escape, a relatively small game put out by Annapurna Interactive. My god, they're getting right up there. They're almost as bad as Daedalus Games for the amount of games they pump out. Also developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur. I don't know the company, I've never seen any of their work, but I have to admit, this is a very interesting game. The basic premises is that you're a young boy that's a guitar person, and you're following in the footsteps of, or more importantly, the shadow of your dead uncle, who was a famous folk singer. But you don't want to be a folk singer, you want to be something different. Other things make more important mindsets to you. But yeah, that's the whole premise of the game. Now, the game is visually very stunning. There is a lot of work that's been done on textures, on lighting, on reflective surfaces, on sparkle. A whole lot of work has been done on this. This is a very big feast for the eyes. It just sparkles at you and makes you just go, my god, I can't see for a few seconds here and there. It's like Elton John and a drag queen had a baby and suddenly plastered all over the screen. It is unbelievably bright. There's a good hue to lighting ratios, particle effects to galores, and overall the game doesn't take much to run horsepower wise, which is kind of funny because at times I was running it on PC through Xbox Game Pass, and at times the game would chug, and I mean really chug down to almost 15 to 10 frames, and some of these sequences are very fast, and because you're trying to jump around, you're trying to go through this whole side-scrolling sort of semi-platform sort of thing, it didn't work because the whole time you're trying to do this, it's just going really fast, and then all of a sudden the whole screen's just glug, glug, and you're trying to keep on jumping in sequence to what you need to do. It also happened at times when you do these big musical numbers where you have to follow the sequence, and it would chug, and it would be difficult to remember which sequence in the Simon Says kind of button mashing puzzle of the rhythm game that you had to press. On top of that, the visuals at times will actually obscure what you're trying to see as the reference point to press the bumper buttons or the three face buttons that correspond to the various chords you're trying to press. But overall, the visuals are absolutely stunning. It's just these tiny little bits and pieces that kind of mar the game visually and makes it not very enjoyable at times. Overall, I didn't mind it, but at the same time, it's just, really? Does it have to be like that? But it is. On top of that, there is a really great sort of sense of scale in this game visually. You don't feel like you're a tiny person in this thing. You feel very up front, and the whole game, the whole time you're playing it, it's really quite invigorating in just seeing it and playing it. It's just a real enjoyable piece of thing. And I loved how they would zoom in on characters to give more emphasis on the dialogue, and then they'd zoom out and the dialogue would be happening, and you could have this huge creatures of one size or another, and you could actually see the comparison. And it was just a very visually pleasing and enjoyable thing, aside from the aforementioned frame rate problems. Pop-in does happen occasionally on this, and that's another thing I don't understand about this game. It's not a huge powerhouse of gameplay, and I think it really needs a patch to improve and better optimize it for PC. I don't know if it's the same on consoles. It might be. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty good. Let's have a little listen to some of the music and the sound and whatnot, and I'll get back to you.
Francis, one little admonition. You need to be cleared with legal, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, image rights, sync, narrative, licensing, insurance, posthumous royalties, spectromic signature, all pretty standard. You get all that?
Not one bit. Voice signature accepted.
Onward!
The Artful escape is all about music. It's very much a tour de force of this fantastic space opera design music. Even though at the beginning it starts off as a sort of folk town sort of song, and it's all that bluegrass, old sort of school of the folk tales and whatnot, it jumps at that sudden point not very far into the game, at about the half-hour mark, and it's just this whole massive Sargent Pepper, Technicolor, Dreamcoat, wild space opera flying through the sky with your pants gone wild sort of ride. And it's just so well done. And even the guitar riffing that you do when you just get free play of pressing all the different buttons to change the tunes and tonal tunes when you're flying through certain sections is absolutely, it's just stellar. It's an amazing, interesting sort of dream of this wonderful thing. And I love the soundtrack. I love the thing. Dialogue is really good. I love the feeling for the dialogue. There is one little hang-up I had with the dialogue, and that was that at times there would be a slight issue where you would press a button and the dialogue would pop, but there would be no sound, no voice to go with that dialogue. And it was just, well, that kind of sucked. And it happened more than once. It happened quite a few times, and especially if you click the button to progress each thing. So that, again, is kind of a sequencing thing that needs to have a patch to fix. So the voice is a little bit hit and miss in some respects on that sort of thing. But as for the performances for the individual characters and whatnot, you can feel their input to the actual game. You can feel the input they have on the world around them and how much they actually mean. Even the subservient Zom, the subservient sort of alien first mate to the ship that you end up being on, is he's just so funny, and he has this really wonderful sort of sing-song voice that just adds to what he's actually trying to provide for a performance. Now, I controlled this with an Xbox One controller. It's pretty standard fare gameplay-wise. You get a double jump and a sort of extended double jump as well. Control with an analog stick. You'll have to play at times a kind of rhythm game where you will use the X, Y, and B button as your face buttons, and the two top bumpers as the left and right trigger buttons for a prompt. And any time you have to do one of these music kind of sequences in order to unlock an area, beat or impress someone with your music, it will actually show up somewhere in that exact sort of configuration, a triangle with two sort of eyebrows sitting on top of it, and you can follow that sequence. But again, like I said with the graphics, at times it can be obscured and you can miss when you need to press those buttons, but again, it's very forgiving and it will just let you sort of switch back to the previous one and repeat the sequence like a Simon Says puzzle sort of thing. But yeah, overall that is a really great part of the game. So should you buy this game? Well, again, this is not a very long game. I finished it in 4 hours and I didn't really rush through the game. It's just sort of let it happen in front of me and did the bits and pieces. I spent a lot of time in the section where you can customize your character at some point, and a lot of other bits and pieces, but overall I didn't find it a particularly taxing game. Was it a worthwhile game where it explores the peer pressure that young people will get trying to have to live up to a person that was a legend in their family? And this can happen on not just as a musical artist, but any kind of person that has to suddenly be told, oh, you know, you look just like your uncle, or you look just like your dad. You know, you could just bring back the legend that your dad was, and other things like that. It's such a hard pressure because you should never have to deal with that, and that's what I love about the end of the story. The person comes through and understands that it's their life, it's their journey, it's their thing. Like, art should not be about providing people what they want. It should be about giving them something new, something they haven't seen before. And I love that message through this. It's about putting out your own dream there, making your dream the important part of your life, not the other way around, other people's sort of envisioning of what your life should be. And I think that's the best message this sort of portrays in as many forms. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. I hope you got some useful information about this game. It is out on Game Pass. It's out on Xbox One and Series X's, PlayStation 5. I think it's also out on Epic and Steam, which are the two major platforms fighting for your Dory dues at the moment. So yeah, check it out if you really want. Other than that, please subscribe, hit the bell notifications, check me out. I also do Twitch as well. I stream to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and be happy to have you along at some point. Other than that, have yourselves a fabulous day, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye for now.
French kiss death. That's a striking visual. Are we gonna French kiss death?
Not one day, unfortunately. But you see that door? That's the end of everything you've ever known, baby. Beyond that door lies the cosmic extraordinary.
What does that mean?
Oh man, that's the great matter between the lobes of the universe. The outside of reality. Often described as the in-between bits.
Hello?
Francis Vendetti, the pleasure's all mine. Mayor Swartz here.
How did you know?
I like to have my ear to the ground, my boy. Felt the vibration. Ready for the big show?
Yeah, just rounding off the corners.
Excellent, excellent, really. The town's counting on you, son. What with businesses closing up, low voter morale, mayoral corruption,
Haven't you been the mayor for like 12 years?
and a series of unexplainable events that have no basis in fact whatsoever. You can put them right out of your head.
Unexplainable events?
I shouldn't speak about it over the phone. All I'm saying is this. Your show's important, Vendetti. There's a lot of folks out there counting on you.
Wow.
Don't cock it up.